in this sport doesn't work. Boo if you're a virgin.
Are you happy with your performance? Did you think you did enough to secure the win before the scorecards were read?
Oh, for sure. I knocked him down, won basically every round. I think he won one round. But he's a warrior, you know. I had him hurt in the first round. He kept on coming, and no one's taken that much damage. But all credit to my team, my conditioning. Going 10 rounds in my 8th fight, it's unheard of. Only been boxing for 3 years. Beat a UFC legend. I was watching this kid growing up, but I want to run it back in MMA.
Let's go.
So there's the offer on the table, $10 million in MMA next fight. Is that what you want to do next?
Yeah, I want $10 million, PFL, that's the offer. Let's run it back in MMA. Make it fair. I won one. Now it's your chance in your home territory. MMA, let's do it.
Nate, what do you think of that offer?
Let's do it. We're going to have to co-promote with Real Fight Inc. I don't want to do that. But I wasn't trying to, but I had the single leg in the first and the choke in the ninth, so I already won that battle.
I saw that guillotine there. First pro boxing bout for you, Nate. How did it go? What do you think of your performance?
Yeah, he's tough and he's big, and I wish I could have done better and did better things, but some shit didn't happen right the way I wanted to, but it's all good, and I think I've been in boxing still, but he won this one. It's good. And then, hey, Real Fight Inc. I'll fight anybody. I don't give a fuck.
Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Jake Paul picks up a unanimous decision over 209. The Stockton slapper himself, Nate Diaz. Fight World, it's your boy Ego, in the back with some more boxing. Just watch Jake Paul decision Nate Diaz. And it was a pretty entertaining fight. Like, for me, I'll say it like this. This fight delivered exactly what I expected it to deliver. It played out almost identical to what I had in my mind. So the fight opened up with Jake Paul. He looked really sharp in the first round. He was picking his spots in the first round, and it looked like he caught Nate Diaz cold, and it looked like possibly he was going to be able to try to force a stoppage in the first, second, or, in the early rounds. Jake Paul said he was going to knock out Nate Diaz, I believe, in the 5th round, and that didn't happen. Obviously, it went to a decision. So the first round was not the round that Nate Diaz probably would have wanted, but Nate's a true fighter, and he just weathered that storm, and he just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and that was kind of the story of the fight. The later rounds, Nate Diaz started to have a lot more success, and I think the constant pressure and the constant in front of your face and making you work and the antics and the histrionics and the theatrics, it really forced Jake Paul to box from range and try to be mindful and conserve his energy, because Nate Diaz, he fights like almost like the Terminator, especially in boxing. He just wouldn't go away. Now, let me backtrack. In the 5th round, while coming forward, Jake Paul hit Nate Diaz with a clean shot as he was encroaching, and it rocked his temple. And then you see him try to get his balance, but you can't win that battle with gravity. So he went down, and that was a 10-8 round automatically for Jake Paul. Very nice temple shot. When you hit people in the temple, a lot of times it can mess up your equilibrium, or like your ear canal. Like if you pop your ears too aggressively or puncture your ears, just things like that, it'll mess up your balance. Nate Diaz, when I tell you he is one of the toughest, you know how they have the tough man contest? He got to be one of the toughest people in combat sports history. The man is true. Like, he's one of the few combat sports combatants that literally could survive, and you wouldn't have any problems worrying if they would survive in the Roman gladiator days, like Maximum Decimus Meridius, on some gladiator stuff. Are you not entertained? And I've really seen fighters like Nate Diaz in the sense that sometimes when they get hurt or get buzzed or get rattled, they've been there before, so they just know how to act, and it almost makes them fight harder. So throughout the fight, as the rounds progressed, I seen Nate Diaz, he was already putting on pressure and kind of coming forward with reckless abandon, not necessarily even walking in with the jab or anything, just literally walking to Jake Paul, and he was smothering in his approach. And I think that started to wear down and wane on Jake Paul in his performance because he was having to exert energy. And Jake Paul looks like he has some cracks, has some pops in his past fight, especially against the other MMA fighters he fought. He knocked out Tyron Woodley cold, and then he knocked out Ben Askren. But Nate Diaz is a different breed when it comes to the chin department and toughness. And it was always going to be an uphill battle to try to stop Nate Diaz. So I think ultimately, Jake Paul was a little bit downtrodden in his post-fight. You know, he seemed super humble. And like even when his brother Logan was walking to the crowd, I think they worked hard or watched Jake Paul work hard. I think they really were banking on a stoppage because that would have been bigger for the brand and bigger for his career to stop somebody who's super durable. But that's boxing or combat sports. Some guys, you're not going to stop them. And I think as the fight progressed, it became more entertaining, and Nate Diaz actually started to win some rounds or some moments of rounds. And for that, it was a pretty entertaining fight. You know, it was exactly what I expected. Now, I've been to Stockton. As you guys know, I'm in the Bay Area. I represent California. I represent this NorCal 707. Yee! Right? So I've been in Nate Diaz's gym. I've watched Nate Diaz spar live, right? And what I can tell you, obviously what happens in sparring stays in sparring, but I knew that Nate Diaz, he has an unorthodox, wild style. Like people are like, oh, he's just slapping his punches and stuff like that. He fights how he fights, but when that's in front of you, it's awkward. And I remember talking to Andre Ward when he was an active fighter, and Andre Ward told me that sometimes the guys that are awkward and offbeat, like the Emmanuel Burtons and Emmanuel Augustus with the drunken monkey style and super nonchalant, those are some of the fighters that are like literally the hardest to deal with. And Floyd Mayweather pretty much corroborated that because he did an interview in the past and he said his toughest fight was Emmanuel Augustus, who, if you haven't seen Emmanuel Augustus, Emmanuel Burton, just look up his highlights on YouTube. And Nate Diaz has that same kind of posturing, showmanship. He even had it in the UFC where he hurt Leon Edwards and then he just pointed at him and he started walking towards him. He just didn't have enough time in the round to maybe finish him. And I seen that even in his boxing bag. And I already knew this because, again, I've watched him spar and I talked to the boxers and they're like, all right, they said, like, don't underestimate Nate Diaz because he might look like one way and you're not expecting like whatever. And then he's just tough as nails, tough as they come, and he'll surprise you. And I remember Andre Ward did an interview with somebody that was on YouTube, and he sparred with Nate Diaz in the past as well. And he said, like, Nate Diaz he's just game. He's just a true fighter. And, you know, you can't really sleep on him. He has his own style. I think people are so caught up with the flash and the flair and the pizzazz. Jake Paul's shots are looking more complete. He's turning over his punches better. He's come a long way in terms of his boxing, and you can see the growth in Jake Paul. But again, sometimes you fight these like rogue style fighters that are pointing at you, that are laughing at you, dancing. You know, there were moments in this fight where Nate Diaz, he would just take laps. I've seen him do in the UFC too. He would just walk away, and then you don't even know what he's doing. Like, you don't know why he's doing that. Is he playing possum? Is he trying to land a home run shot? And you got to respect it. You got to respect it because you don't know, is he really hurt? There was even moments in the fight where he was pretending he was hurt. Maybe he was hurt and he was just like laughing it off and just like on some real like sinister Joker stuff. You know what I mean? Like Joker from Batman. It was just like almost psychotic how tough this man is. So fight was pretty entertaining. I know Jake Paul and his team probably wanted to push and be the first fighter to get a knockout. I think that would have raised the stock even higher. Just listen to the post-fight that you guys heard at the beginning and stuff like that. I think they really wanted the knockout. And not for Nate Diaz to kind of gain strength, but this is Nate's bag, you know? The man is tough as nails, doesn't give up, keeps coming. And if you get tired, then it's a wrap. So for me, I think if Nate Diaz worked on his technique a little bit more, then he would have really gave Jake Paul problems. But the problem child won. The problem child had better boxing and has been working. And I've seen the growth with Jake Paul. So, you know, the fight was what it was. Let me know what you guys think of the particular fight. But I know that madman style that Nate Diaz has, it almost reminded me of Jaron Boots Ennis versus Villa. Roman Villa, he has that same type of crazy nonstop pressure. Guys like Brandon Rios. And again, if you don't fight those guys, like, see, luckily for Jaron Boots Ennis, he has a ton of skill, switch hitting, and, you know, he's a natural. But he was able to get the stoppage with Roman Villa. You see even Rashidi Ellis, who's a very, very talented fighter, he had some issues with Roman Villa late for the kind of the same reasons that we've seen Jake Paul have some issues with Nate Diaz late. Just that toughness, and then you start getting tired, and it's really discouraging when your opponent just won't go away. You just can't put him out. And Jake Paul got spoiled with some early MMA fighter knockouts, and all in all, they were booing him post-fight because, I don't know, it just looked like Nate Diaz is just, he's fan-friendly. He was doing all the showmanship and showboating. The knockout didn't come. So it's kind of like Nate Diaz was able to get the People's Champ Award tonight. That's kind of what I seen. But Jake Paul had the better boxing, the better technique, definitely working on his craft. Pretty entertaining fight. Crowd was in it. You know, the main event was cool. Co-main event was a mismatch with Amanda Serrano, a rematch that really kind of didn't need to happen. But all in all, hopefully you got your money's worth. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Bang. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.